see you all here. So grateful for all the support. I see so many friends here who've been out knocking on doors and doing all kinds of things for the campaign. And I am just thrilled that things are going so well. But I know it's because we have this incredible team. So I'm going to stand over here and see if I can see everybody better. But anyway, I don't want anybody to feel like they're looking at my back. I thought I would just give y'all a quick update on some of the things that have happened in the campaign. I missed the initial meeting because I was up in Washington, getting to meet with some really cool people, and I'm excited about what that's going to mean for our campaign down here. And then I can take a couple of questions if we have enough time, sort of things that you guys want to know, because I know there are a lot of people here who've heard me talk before, who know a lot about the campaign or things that we're doing, but may want an update on something in particular. But the good news is the campaign is going great. We are a few things just to kind of note. Hopefully you all saw the poll in early June that we're polling within the margin of error with John Culberson, 2 points behind, which is a 3-point margin of error. So the race is neck and neck, and I think it's going to stay that way. Our numbers that we keep working on are consistent with that this is anybody's race to win. And the one thing is clear is that the Democrats have way out-organized the Republicans in this district. Good. Way ahead. In fact, my mom said somebody knocked on her door today. That was not for my campaign. That was there looking for volunteers. So I think that we are in a really great place. And because we had such a crowded and exciting primary, Democrats have been engaged for a year in this race and have been paying attention. And we were just chatting about the fact that all of the candidates from the primary are on board. Everyone is behind us. I am really thrilled, but it really is a testament to the high quality of candidates that we have running for this seat, that every single one of them, including Debbie Kerner, who wasn't even on the ballot, signed up to host a fundraiser for me last week. And they raised money, they sent out emails, they called people, and they've been in touch with me and with the campaign, working hard to make sure that we beat John Culberson. And I'm so grateful to them, and I just think that we are so lucky to have such a stellar group of people who I hope that will continue to get opportunities to vote for lots of things. Obviously, I want to be running for re-election in 2 years, so hopefully we won't need to fill this seat, but there are many other things to do, and I feel really good about the unity that everyone has shown. Our campaign office has seen volunteers that I recognize from other campaigns show up at the door and volunteer and help, and I think that's because everybody knows what this race is about. It's about beating John Culberson. It's about getting us the representation that we deserve in Washington. And we aren't the only ones who notice. John Culberson is certainly noticed. I don't know if anybody else, show of hands, follows his Twitter feed.
I get his emails.
When you see him with volunteers, they're all wearing Ted Cruz shirts. So I see Lizzie's shirts here organically, and I think it's a great sign. I've yet to see a John Culberson t-shirt. But they have taken notice. The NRCC definitely has our race in its sights, but we have a lot of support from national Democrats, and it's exciting to see folks across the country who are excited about and interested in this race and doing things to help us. So number one, we're getting resource help. We're getting people helping organize and get out the vote, helping elect Democrats up and down the ballot, and that's something that we're really excited about, the support we're getting. We are going to have, I hope, this is my report from Washington. When I was there, I had the privilege and the honor of meeting with Representative Clyburn, who's the assistant leader now for the Democrats, and he told me that the Congressional Black Caucus is interested in targeting our district among all of the districts in the country. That's not my phone, but it'll stop ringing. So they are looking at 4 districts where they want to increase turnout, and they want to work on a voter turnout. You can just reach in there and turn out. They're going to work on a voter turnout project, and they're going to reach out to voters who vote in the presidential years but not in the midterms. And they think that they can help find 10,000 to 15,000 votes in the district, which is so. Hopefully we'll get them to come visit. Hopefully Representative Clyburn may come down, Representative Richmond from New Orleans, Cedric Richmond may come come over. And several people have mentioned coming. I believe we will officially announce things, but I'm kind of giving you all an insider's view. I think that is confirmed. Is Sanchez confirmed? Okay. I will tell you. Hopefully, there are a few other people who want to come, so let's just assume they're coming. Linda Sanchez has said that she wants to come, so that's exciting. Is she definitely coming? That was my question. So I think she's going to come in early September. We're just seeing so much enthusiasm because the folks in Washington see what everybody in this room sees, which is that we can and will win this race. So we're doing our part. Our job is to get the word out to as many people, and you all know there are a lot of ways to do it. We're going to be in everybody's mailboxes a lot. We are going to be up on TV fairly soon, and we're going to be knocking on doors, and as many doors as we can hit as many times from now until November. I'm sure I don't have to tell anyone in this room that we've got 89 days until the election. So we feel great about what we've got going on. We're so grateful for the turnout and the support, and we know that if we hit every precinct, every door, we get to everybody, we're gonna win. It's all about getting the word out and getting people excited. And the most exciting thing is that we have a chance to win this seat, that we have a chance to put a check on the Trump administration, that we can stop these destructive policies that are reversing the years of progress. I think that what we are seeing across the board is that we need leaders in Washington who are more interested in representing people and solving problems than in lining their own pockets, or in, ironically this week, or just getting reelected. You know, I'm excited to start thinking about a reelection campaign, but I know it's all about doing the job, and you shouldn't be entitled to the job. You've got to earn it every 2 years. John Culberson has been coasting to victory year after year, and his organization shows it. He's not ready for this race. We are way ahead of him, and we're gonna stay there. We're not gonna fall back. We're gonna keep working and doing everything we can every single day. But I know that working together, all of us, we're gonna win in November. So we just have to get there, 89 days. But that's kind of the lay of the land of where we are. Does anybody have a question about what's happening or want to hear about anything in particular? So I'm happy to answer a couple of questions while we have time before y'all get on to your meeting. Yes?
Do you have any specific issues you're going to hammer against Culberson?
Yeah, there are a few things, and we're going to roll out a plan in the next week or two that kind of lays out some of our policy priorities and agenda. But I think there are a couple of, I've been talking about, it falls in a few buckets, right? We want to keep everybody healthy, and I think that you'll hear a lot in the campaign about making sure that we are working to fix our healthcare system, making healthcare affordable and accessible, talking a lot about prescription drug costs and other things that we could do that Congress has the opportunity to help with, where John Culberson has voted against them. You know, he voted against the ability for Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. Obviously, he's voted 20 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act with no alternative plan in place. So we're gonna talk a lot about healthcare because frankly, we take notes at the doors, and y'all know because you're knocking on them. And that's the number one issue that we're hearing from voters at the doors. It's the number one issue we're hearing when we do our research. So we're gonna talk a lot about healthcare because I don't think he has the leg to stand on when it comes to being concerned about and trying to do something about our healthcare. We're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about sort of the next pillar, next thing that I like to talk about, just protecting what we've earned. And that goes straight to the effects of this tax cut on Social Security and Medicare, and the fact that the Republicans are talking about needing to make changes to them because of this tax cut, where they have increased deficit spending and increased the debt astronomically. So we're going to talk about that quite a bit. Again, I don't think that's a good issue for him. He is talking, as I'm sure you know, I assume everyone in this room, like I got a flyer from him about the $4.5 billion he brought here after Hurricane Harvey.
Right.
So that's his campaign in a nutshell. And the truth is, when you break it down, the issue is, what has he done for flooding infrastructure, for long-term investment, and why does it take the worst natural disaster in our history to get him to pay attention to our flooding problem? Because it has been a problem since he took office. The Tropical Storm Allison, you remember it in 2001, that was the year he took office. He's been on notice as our representative that this is an issue. He's been on notice that Project Raise is behind, and his answer is, well, I gave all the money the Army Corps of Engineers asked for. That was the most recent thing that he said, where they asked for sponsor me. And the issue is, that's not enough. You know, you've got to be a partner. You have to be asking people what they need, whether they're getting what they need, and figuring out ways you can help get it faster, get it better, get more, look out for the community. So the themes that we've been talking about for the last year, that he's pretty checked out and he hasn't been representing our community, that's true in all of these areas. And so that theme over and over. The other thing that we're hearing across the board is that people really want someone who's gonna go and work and try to actually solve problems and not just grandstand and talk about things and fight. So we'll talk a lot about working with everybody to make sure that we can get things accomplished for the people who send us there. So that's kind of the overall message. We'll talk more, you know, kind of building for the future, keeping us safe, and then laying out policy initiatives that go with that.
One other.
Sure.
When I first met you, I mentioned a book called Chasing the Stream. I'm curious as to whether or not you ever read it.
Unfortunately, I have not read it, but that doesn't mean it's not still written in my notepad. My bedside stack gets bigger and bigger, and yeah, the last book I read was a research book on John Culberson, and it was very informative. So yes, all the way to the back.
A little bit on your views on transportation.
Sure. So on transportation, I think that again, the hit on Culberson to me is so clear that he has not been a partner. He's not worked with the community at all to address our needs. And if you've gotten the flyers from him on your door, it says he is proud that he's made sure that no federal dollars come to Metro. I mean, that is something that he's touting as an accomplishment. I take the absolute opposite approach. And I think that, you know, the key again is being a partner. And so for me, Metro is working with the Houston-Galveston Area Council to come up with a region-wide transit plan that addresses our needs in various ways and talks about what it is that we can do and how we can do it and what we need. And it's probably gonna be, you know, a pie-in-the-sky plan, but what are the kinds of things we can do? And to me, the issue is how can our representative in Congress help make it happen? Certainly that deals with mass transit, but it also deals with permanent infrastructure, like, you know, whether it's bus rapid transit, which I'm supportive of, or, you know, if there's extension of light rail, there's been a discussion of light rail to the airports and extending the university line. I think that we need to look at all those things, but I'm waiting a little bit to hear what Metro and the council say is the best plan, and then how can we help make it happen?
I serve on the night task force,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a meeting today with Metro and with HTC. Those plans, they're working on really viable plans. We need a representative in Washington to give us some of those federal dollars.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that that's, you know, that's what we see with Culberson, and somebody asked me to kind of distill the difference between us, and you know, people ask me to do it in a lot of different ways, and one of the things that I think is clear is he just doesn't believe in what he's doing. He doesn't think the federal government should be involved, unless it comes to, you know, what's happening in our bedrooms or whether we're, otherwise, he doesn't want the government involved. And I think that that's a real disservice, because there are resources in the federal government, and we need those resources in our community. We are sending our tax dollars to Washington. They are getting appropriated across the country. And some of them should be coming back here. To have someone that we send there who's proud to reject them, that's not serving our community at all. So I do want to be a partner with Metro and with Harris County Flood Control. You know, I want to work with the mayor and the county judge and everyone to make sure that our needs are being met, and that where the federal government can help, we are appropriately asking for the help. And I think that's something Culberson's not doing. He doesn't believe, ultimately, in the job that he's got. So I think it's time for him to get another one.
I think so too.
And I'll let y'all have your meeting.
Obviously, the whole point of this is these are precinct chairs and captains and volunteers and organizers. What can we do best to help you?
Oh my gosh, the list is so long.
And obviously, your team is doing a lot of stuff. What gaps can we fill?
Well, I think that what we really need, and I may defer to Claudia a little bit, she can kind of get up and talk about ways that we're, kind of the gaps that we have, but really, knocking on doors and making phone calls is the #1 thing that we can do. Real voter contact. What we're seeing is that we're making a lot of phone calls. The contact rate is not as high as I would like, just, you know, it's hard to get through to people, so we have to make a lot of calls to get there. Anybody who's done it knows, not everybody answers the phone, at least the first time. And knocking on doors, we have a very big list of targets, and we need to turn out the vote, and we've got to persuade some people who might be on the fence. The good news is that poll that I mentioned earlier shows that our campaign is leading with independents. We're leading with women who make up 55% of the vote in this district, and we're leading with people under 40. So there are a whole lot of people that I know, lots of groups have been working to register new voters, but we've got to make sure that we turn out every single Democrat. You know, the path to victory is to turn out every Democrat and to try to convince a handful of people to vote. And the good news is, we did such a great job in this primary, all these candidates working hard, that the primary turnout was huge. So I think we're gonna see more of that. Democratic enthusiasm is much higher than Republicans, but I will give you a little bit of a warning. The Republicans are gonna come at us with everything they've got, and they're gonna say a lot of things that aren't true that are designed to depress the Democratic turnout. They're gonna say a lot of things, because I've seen some signs of what they're gonna say, and they're not true, but they wanna get at Democrats and try to divide us. And we need to make sure that our Democratic leaders and representatives, precinct chairs, volunteers, organizers, are all on the same page, and we don't fall for the dirty tricks from the Republicans of trying to put wedges between us. Because that is their strategy. Democrats are so excited this year, and they know it, that is what they're trying to do first. So everyone should be aware of that and prepared to respond. And our campaign's always available. You know, Claudia's here with me tonight, Naveed's here. We have a great field office. I guess I didn't mention this one other thing, is that we're opening a second office.
Wow, great.
Where?
Well, we don't have the exact address yet, but it's gonna be somewhere right around here on Highway 6.
I guess we're moving our house, we're not using it.
So, Colin Steele, who some of you may know, who's our field director now, he has been out looking at spaces. We hope to have it up and running in the next couple weeks. It will be a space that everybody can use. Hopefully other candidates will be able to use it. Groups will be able to organize out of there. I know there's a huge effort that Swing Left is doing up in Precinct 881. There are a lot of things. There's so much excitement and there's so much happening out here. And our office is a little bit far away. And we just want to have a presence, and we really want to be able to turn out the vote and be a resource and be able to find a place where people can gather. Because the thing that some of you have probably heard me say, but I just have to say again because it's true. When I first was thinking about doing this, running for office, I had this conversation with my sister, because obviously I'm new, and I haven't done this before. And she was reminding me of how politically active we were in high school and all these groups we were in and things we did. And she's like, you know, working with your friends to try to change the world is so important and it's so meaningful, but it's also really fun. And it's true. You know, coming to my office every day gives me hope. Seeing people show up in the office wanting to volunteer, wanting to participate, working with this incredible staff, and we have an incredible staff now, full time. We have almost 20 people in our office every day, working hard to try to make the world a better place. And it's fun to do it with other people, and to have a place to go makes it easy. So we are gonna have more, we'll announce as soon as we know where it is. I'm sure we'll have a grand opening event. We've been working on, and Naveed could maybe cover this more later, we're working on an event on September 8th for sure. It's kind of a rally with precinct chairs and different clubs and groups, and I think that will be a great chance to, after Labor Day, to really start making sure voters are noticing. But this new office out here, I think, is going to be a real benefit, and I'm excited to be able to come out here and have a home base, and I'm excited to continue working with all of you for the next 39 days. Okay, I said last question, I'll go to Susan.
Quick question.
Yeah.
You didn't mention debate, did you? What, is there any chance of a debate between?
There is a chance of a debate.
Okay.
So we agreed to one, like 2 months ago,
Okay,
and John Culberson finally has agreed.
great.
So we just have to work out the date. He rejected our date. So we'll work out the date, but it'll be in October.
Excellent.
Probably mid-October.
Good.
And I feel real good about that.
Yeah,
too. So-
good news.
Yeah. So we're gonna, obviously, hopefully you're all on our Facebook page, on our email list. Joseph who works with us. I don't know if you know, Joseph's in our office, but he's in our office. He has a weekly digital update that he sends out. If you don't get that, it's great to sign on to. It kind of tells you the kinds of things you can do that week. If I don't have it.
If you don't have it, let me know.
Yeah, you're not on it. Does everybody know Claudia?
Yeah.
Claudia will get that out. But there's just so much happening, and there'll be something to do every single day for the next 89 days. So we're grateful that you're here and looking forward to working with you. And I'm personally so thankful. This is the coolest part of doing it is having you trust me to do this. And I appreciate it, and I don't forget it. I wake up every morning thinking about how much people are counting on me. And fortunately, we have an incredible team together, and we're going to win in November. So look forward to the election.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.